When you started, did you imagine that you would be talking to Finnish television in 1993?
No.
I was hoping to have bought a boutique before my 30th birthday, fortunately. Fortunately not. No, when I joined Purple, it was that time where I was very young, and I didn't know any pop stars over 27 or 28 at those days. You know. So, I mean, I don't know, it's great. It's number one, it's fantastic to hear somebody I've admired for so many years playing so superbly well and still with the passion and the vitality and the energy, which people are remarking a great deal about when they put this on, the sheer energy of the Coverdale Page record. And that, you can't pretend, that's legitimate, that's it's passion, mate.
We've met in the past, just like passing ships in the night, just nodding acquaintances during the 70s, but we'd obviously being in our own relative situations as far as David's band Whitesnake, and I was on my own. I'd been wading through many cassettes to try and find a vocalist, because I was really desperate to make some musical statements, you see, to prove I was sort of alive and kicking, you know, and totally well. And it was becoming increasingly frustrating, you know, as the mailman would bring a cassette, I'd rush it to the tape player, you know, just no inspiration from any of these people. And it was getting a bit of a drag, and then my manager called me up and he said that a mutual friend of ours had suggested that it might be a good idea if David and I got together.
I was going to be a fisherman. I'd really had enough of the music business. I'd had enough of Whitesnake. I'd had enough of a lot of the private circumstances in my life. I really wanted to take at least a year to consider if indeed I wanted to continue, you know, with music as a career. And I was terribly confused. So this was the end of 1990. The end of January 91, I received a call to ask if I'd be curious about sitting down with his lordship here. Of course, I've been an admirer of Jimmy's from way before Zeppelin, you know, before the Yardbirds. And I said, well, yeah, of course I'm curious, but I'd just like to sort a few things out so I can sit down with an open mind, and because a commitment like this is pretty substantial and we could look at, as we have, 2 years, you know, work. So we agreed to meet at the end of March in New York. So we've just passed our anniversary, actually. And I'd got on remarkably well, immediately. No walls, no, you know, fences needing mending or whatever. We got on terrifically well. And of course, we go for the well-known walk around Manhattan where we stop traffic, which was an indication to both of us that it could be very special. But the most important thing, other than us agreeing and shaking hands on several, you know, ideas, the most important one being that we would do everything one thing at a time. So yes, we got on well. The second stage, of course, was to find out if we could compose together.
Because there's no guarantee if you put two people of this stature together that it's going to create that sort of alchemy and chemistry, which is totally necessary. You know? We were both aware of the fact that if we were going to team up, and as David said, you know, during this sort of traffic incident, there's guys shouting out to us, hey, you guys are going to be working together. That seemed really promising. But, you know, we have very high standards of ourselves anyway. And certainly jointly, it had to be something that was really, you know, a killer album at the end of the day. But there was obviously this thing, could we write together? So I went up to Lake Tahoe, where David lives, and we got together on the first day, both pretty nervous, yes. You know. I mean, neither of us wanted to let down the side, you know. And that very first day, we wrote Absolution Blues.
We really do have a good time together, you know, which has never interfered with the work. We're both extremely conscientious professionals. And once again, I think throughout, as now, neither of us want to let the side down. And we're both familiar with being bosses or band leaders or whatever you want to call it, orchestra leaders, conductors. And this, it couldn't have been written better by a romantic novelist, you know, really. and we're personally thrilled. It's a fascinating process to watch him work in the studio. I've worked with a lot of guitarists, a lot of big-name guitarists as well for many years. But to see a true craftsman work, the most remarkable thing, I think, was a real simple discovery, is that he is so concerned with getting the best out of the song. You know, that at times you'll find on some of the tracks on the album, there isn't a guitar solo, which takes nothing away from the actual input on the guitar. You know, it's a beautiful approach and perfect for me as a songwriter to work with somebody with that focus on a song. It's marvelous.
Do you think that many of the new guitarists, they can't really play the rhythm guitar? They just play all this blah, 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 and that's it.
The wiggly
Well,
stuff.
yeah, well, there are some like that, but that's where they've allowed their focus to be. I mean, I see things in a total overall picture.
Which, like I'm saying, is to work with him, where you have all this interesting and articulate and melodic and scary guitar tones.
And the solos are like
and still,
singing.
yeah, like and space and air to breathe. A lot of the guitarists I've worked with have just treated a song as an excuse to get to the solo, and then go
whereas
wiggly.
I'm the total opposite, whereas the solo is always the last thing to go on, which will sum up the overall picture of every other overdub that's gone on. And they usually, I mean, I usually just, I won't work out a solo beforehand. It's sort of straight off the cuff, and I'll maybe try 2 or 3 different approaches to it, and then take the best.